So what happens that ends your involvement in NASCAR? What take me to that day,
So
that moment?
So my daughter was born when I went to work at the Wood Brothers that December. That obviously, you start looking at life a little bit different.
Game changer.
when that happens. But I was in Texas. I've been dying to tell this freaking story. I hope this is freaking nationwide, dude.
Give it.
I was in Texas in my motorhome. And I don't know, it's probably 10 o'clock at night. It's Tag Geschecter. Gets in my motorhome. Hey, what are you doing? I'm like, what the frig, dude? This dude ain't never been in my motorhome. Ain't never really had a personal conversation with me. Comes in and sits down and lays out this plan to me on how he's going to take the Little Debbie sponsorship from the Wood Brothers, and he wants me to be the crew chief on the car. He's going to have a cup car. This time he only had Busch cars and trucks.
Yep.
And I'm sitting there and with my eyes about as big as that coffee cup right there. And I listened, and he said, well, what do you think? I said, well, I'll have to think about it, man. That's a pretty big deal right there to go after the Wood Brothers. I was hired by them, so I don't know. I'll have to think about it. So I didn't really talk to him about that weekend because we were racing. Before I got there Monday, he turned the story around to the Wood Brothers that it was me. And that created this whole turmoil thing. So he started figuring out a way the way my contract was written, they really couldn't fire me unless I did something bad, made the company look bad or whatever. And I hadn't done any of that. So this went on and on for lawyers starting to get involved, and this went on and on for a few weeks, maybe even a month or two.
Are you still going to the racetrack?
I'm still going to the racetrack and working. Yeah, that's what my lawyer told me to do. Keep going to the racetrack. So finally, I just went to him and I said, "Look, dude, I'll make it easy for you. We'll amend the contract to the end of the year. We'll all go our own happy ways." So that was 2007. I actually had 3 more years on the contract. So that's what we did. And then I just told my wife, I said, our second child was born at Dover that year, my son. And I said, maybe it's a good place to stop. Hindsight 2020, I should have worked a little longer maybe, and it just worked out that way, But that's why I always refer back to that was the only time I ever took a job for the money instead of. I believe racing is sacred. I believe it's a way of life. I believe that it's who you are, not necessarily what you do. And if you are a racer, that's what you are. And those last few years, over and over, I kept seeing something that I thought, you won't see me get emotional, something that I thought was pure, and we did it all everybody did it for the same reason, to win. I kept getting shown over and over that that's not why we did it. We did it just to make a living. Now, don't get me wrong, it's nice to do both. But to me, it was it's just something pure, man. It was racing. And that's why everything was so emotional with me when I won. I mean, it's freaking, we won, man. We kicked everybody's ass today. We worked hard and we got paid back for it. And when I saw people who didn't see it the way I did, and I realized that racing wasn't pure, it changed my outlook of it.
So you went home?
Yeah, close. Yeah, I had already built my home there because it's kind of a neutral place for.
Yep. So you stayed
Morrisville, Concord, and all that.
So you quit going to the racetrack cold turkey, pretty much.
Yeah.
When the next season fired up and the cars were going to Daytona.
Yep.
What were you doing?
I was building my shop
for your business.
Yep.
Did you pay any attention to what was going on in the sport?
Nope.
How long did it take before you could pay attention?
I'll let you know.
You still ain't paying attention.
I've watched more this year than ever. I've raced some. I had a couple dirt cars, raced some, played with that.
Recently, in the last decade?
Yes.
Yeah. So you
had some fun with it. Yeah.
Yep. Who was driving them?
Just some local people.
Buddies and friends?
Well, I don't even know if I go that. Just guys who could race and didn't
Where
really
at?
have money and raced Carolina, Gaffney.
Okay. Local. So you still have a competitive spirit.
I'm a racer, man.
You're still a racer. And so you.
So my daughter graduates this year.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty young, man. I'm 55.
Yeah.
My kids are starting to graduate. So
about time for you to find a race car to work on?
Getting close.
Michael, the way you say that makes me think. At first, I would have assumed that you wouldn't watch racing because of a resentment, but I think it's because you were hurt too bad, and you don't want the reminder. Is that fair to say?
If you were an alcoholic, you wouldn't hang out in the bar, would you?
Right.
It's hard, man. When you're, it's hard to be there.
Yeah.
It's heartbreaking, isn't it?
It's heartbreaking if you don't. You can't. I can't do it right now. I'm close. Well, my daughter graduates this year, so that puts me down to 2.
It's hard to do. It's hard to go to a racetrack without a job, without a role, without a responsibility, without a part.
Yeah, and see, nobody knows who I am now. I can't hardly get in a racetrack, man. I don't even know how I would get in, because everybody I know's there, man. I don't have anybody's phone number anymore. I don't have any contacts. I mean, I know some guys here, but I don't have their phone numbers. You know, I'd have to either try to contact them on Facebook or something like that, or most of them probably wouldn't. Most of the time, they don't return your calls or your text. You know, every time Kevin Harvick's won since I shouldn't say I don't keep up with it. See, I'm lying, ain't I? I do look for the results.
Yeah.
But every time Kevin's won, I've sent him a congratulations. Every time Newman won, I sent Newman some notes when he got hurt there in Daytona. Or was that Daytona or Talladega?
Yeah, Daytona.
Yeah.
And you know, those guys I've kept up with.
Mm-hmm.
And Smoke, I sent him a note, you know, congratulations. He's another one that'll answer it's funny, the guys you would think wouldn't answer my text
Are the ones that would do it.
are the ones that are answering my text. Mm-hmm. And the guys that I like work side by side with stuff, they won't answer me.
Yeah, but you got the 3 names you mentioned right there are also probably the most notoriously genuine people that
they race, man.
They race, but they are who they are, take it for better or for worse. I don't think Tony Stewart's apologizing to anybody about the way he behaves, or Kevin Harvick certainly doesn't. And so, I mean,
and I didn't really work. I just that little bit with Tony when I first went over there, but I didn't work with him.
Yeah.
I just helped him. I didn't work with any of them.
Yeah.
I understand the way you feel about how you wouldn't know anybody, but I don't think you realize how beloved you still are.
I have no idea.
You don't, but I'm going to tell you something. You're also one of the most requested guests we've ever had.
For real?
Yeah.
It's a fact, dude.
There ain't no way.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't lie to you about that.
You were a character. People really thought you had a personality that a lot of crew chiefs aren't well known. I mean, you know, people know who's crew chief is who, but a lot of crew chiefs don't take on a persona or a personality. You had a little bit of a, you know, you always had a good sound bite on the pit box, and that was great for TV. It was great for fans. The fans gravitate to it. And so, sure, they want to know what you're up to, what you're doing. If you like that conversation with Fatback McSwain, well, you ought to listen to the entire podcast. The Dale Jr. Download is available on all major podcast platforms.